Hello, everybody. This is your TikTok house shrink with another topic to understand complicated psychological processes with really simple, applicable ways of dealing with them, solutions. So sit back and relax and enjoy, because today I'm going to be talking about the real cause of procrastination, putting things off. A lot of people will think that procrastination has to do with laziness, or it has to do with being irresponsible, or that you just put things off because you don't care or because you don't like what you're doing. But that's not what's going on. What's going on is that procrastination has to do with a fear of being judged. And where does that come from? Well, that comes from having been judged too much when you were young, or not judged at all. Extremes. And when you have extremes specifically about judgment, then you begin to question your judgment. You begin to question your ability to make decisions because you have been punished, or because you haven't been given the parameters of what good decisions are all about. So then you put things off so you don't have to be judged. You put things off so you don't have to be seen as imperfect, or so you don't have to be seen as someone who made a mistake. So it really has to do with the difficulty in allowing other people to disagree with you, or in thinking that people are going to judge you in a negative way. So if you just join me, this is House Shrink, and I will be talking about procrastination and the real cause of procrastination and what to do about it. Okay, so if I talk about it and I don't give you solutions, then you're lost. And remember that since we can't post these videos because they're over 60 seconds, you will be able to see them also on my other social media, which is my YouTube. And I want to thank you because you have been following my YouTube channel, which is Dr. Mario Martinez. And if you haven't, I suggest that you go there and follow it, because I have hundreds of videos free that you can watch, and you can learn a lot about yourself and about selfhood, relationships, and psychological processes that are really very helpful in improving your life. So make sure that you follow here. You click follow in House Shrink, but also go to my YouTube, Dr. Mario Martinez, and follow there too. It's very important because you'll have access to the information, but also I will be able to reach more people, which is what I'm wanting to do here. If some of you have asked about my books, I have two best-selling books. One is called The Mind-Body Code, and the other one's called The Mind-Body Self, and they're available on Amazon. They're both bestsellers. A lot of good information. Things that I cover here, I go into more details in my books. So, if you just joined, welcome. Sit back, enjoy. If you have any questions, go ahead. If they're serious questions, if they're clownish questions, we're gonna ignore them. And this video is being moderated, so if there are any clowns around, then they're gonna be deleted, or they're gonna be stopped. So for real people who are wanting to learn about yourself, wanting to learn about relationships, and wanting to learn about how to improve selfhood, then you're in the right place. And this is free. I'm a clinical psychologist. I'm a licensed clinical psychologist, but I'm not doing therapy here. I'm just doing educational information that will help you navigate life a lot better. So today's topic: what is the cause of procrastination? Putting things off. And as I mentioned earlier, for those of you who just joined, a lot of people think that procrastination has to do with being lazy or not caring or being irresponsible or immature. It's nothing to do with that. The real cause of procrastination is a fear of being judged. And as I mentioned earlier, for those of you who just joined, it comes from, always developmental, goes from way back. You were either judged too harshly or you were not judged at all. If you were judged too harshly, what happens is that then you're afraid to make decisions because you're gonna be judged, and people are gonna punish you or disagree with you in a way that's gonna hurt you. If you haven't been given many rules for judgment, they say, "Oh, do whatever you want to do." When you were younger, you thought, "Oh, my parents are so cool; they let me do what I want and whatever I want." It's not cool at all. What they're doing is they're not giving you parameters to make decisions that are cogent and reasonable, and that will help you have a good life. So both extremes cause a problem with judgment. And in both extremes, if you're punished, you're afraid to be judged. If you have not been given the parameters of judgment, then you don't know what good judgment is, so you put it off. You know, I don't know what I'm going to do here. I'm not sure what I need. I'm not sure what I need to do, so you put it off and you put it off. And procrastination causes a lot of problems. Because eventually what happens with procrastination is that if you don't make a decision when you need to, the conditions that you're allowing to go on will decide for you. So let me give you an example. You procrastinate on paying your rent because you want to move, and you don't do the right things to move. You don't look for a place, you don't give notice, and then you procrastinate on paying your rent, and you procrastinate on paying your rent till you're evicted. And you go, oh, well, I've been evicted. What do I do now? That's because you put it off and you allow conditions to decide for you. When you allow conditions to decide for you, you go into helplessness, which is not good for your immune system or your health. As you know, those of you who are following me, anything that I talk about is good for immunity, for immunological enhancement, and longevity and good health. So you want to be empowered to make decisions. You want to be able to make a decision, and if you're right or if you're wrong, it doesn't matter. If you're wrong, you learn. If you're right, you know what you're doing. So if you just join me, House Shrink here, talking about procrastination and the real cause of procrastination. So if those of you who are here who might have a problem with procrastination, then you can ask me questions about it. But the idea is to get out of thinking that there's something wrong with you, that you're lazy, or that you're a person who just doesn't care, or that you're irresponsible or immature. None of that. The key is that you learned that you have to avoid judgment by others, and sometimes by yourself, because sometimes you learn to judge yourself in a way that's even worse than any other judge. Sometimes the worst judge is you. Let's see. Nice glasses and advice. Thank you. Yeah, these are John Lennon glasses. So somebody who was about 12, I said, look, these are John Lennon. And she said, no, these are Harry Potter. So it depends on your generation. But anyway, thank you for the glasses. You're procrastinating right now. Well, what are you procrastinating, or are you trying to be funny? Either way, if you're procrastinating, then you know what's happening. You're afraid of being judged. So I'm going to judge you in a way that I'm going to assume that you're being serious. If you're not, then that's fine, but there's no punishment here. If you're not being serious, you're just going to be muted. And if you're being serious, then I'll answer your questions. That's simple. No punishment here. This is learning with joy, not learning with punishment. So welcome, everybody. Those of you who just joined, and a lot of people joining. It's just flooding of names that if I start mentioning names, I wouldn't have any time to do anything. So now, the topic, for those of you who just joined, is procrastination, excuse me, and the real cause of procrastination, which is fear of being judged, or a reluctance to be judged, because you have learned that judgment from the past has been punitive. So if it's been punitive, and you put it off and you put it off without knowing it, sometimes it's a subconscious thing. You don't do it on purpose, and you just put it off and you say, I'll do it tomorrow. But also procrastination has to do with perfectionism, again, related to fear of being judged. You wait for conditions to be so perfect that you put it off and you put it off and you put it off. So perfectionism is also hidden in the sense that the perfectionists are people who also have a problem with being judged, who don't know how to handle feedback that if it's not positive. So if you're also a perfectionist, it falls right into the procrastination. Perfectionists wait and wait and wait till conditions just perfect, and it doesn't work because conditions will never be perfect. You have to be able to make a decision and be willing to be wrong. You know, Picasso, with his paintings, he would always say, there's a point you have to stop. If you keep working on it, it'll be overworked, and it'll show being overworked. So finish it and let other people decide what they want. Their decision. So you do the best you can and you let it go. So if you have any questions, go ahead. Serious questions. If not, you're just going to be deleted, or you're just going to be not allowed to continue, because I don't waste your time. I want your time to be really something that you get something out of it, but also I don't want to waste my time in foolishness and things that have nothing to do with what I'm doing. And there are a lot of people here who are just trying to be just so funny and so cute and getting attention the wrong way. But usually the people that follow me are pretty serious people who in the long run are wanting to learn something about their personal psychology and are appreciative of what I'm doing. So those of you who want to go deeper with the subjects that I'm talking about here, you can read my books. Both are bestsellers, The Mind Body Code, The Mind Body Self, but also there's a lot of free stuff that you can go to on my YouTube channel, and make sure that you follow the channel. And it's just Dr. Mario Martinez. So so what about when you don't want to face things and put them off? That's exactly the same thing. You're, in a subconscious way or not so subconscious, you're afraid of being judged, of making a mistake, or someone telling you that you're wrong. Once you learn that making mistakes is a way to grow, then you'll be willing to make mistakes. In fact, there's a lot of research in this area where they look at people who have been extremely successful and people who have been extremely failures. And the difference is that the people that have been successful have made more mistakes than the people who have not risked. And they're failures because of their lack of risking. If you risk and you don't do it right, you're okay, because you're testing. You're allowing yourself to test something till you get to a point, okay, now I got it. Every invention, everything that has been done that has any value has been done with many, many trials and errors. So what I want you to do is to make a commitment to begin to see mistakes as approximations to a goal. A mistake is something to punish. An approximation to a goal is something to learn from and know that you need to do it in a different way. What did I learn from this? What did I learn from this? And you become better at it. That's what happens. So many people are joining as usual. But if you just joined, the topic for today is procrastination, the real cause of procrastination, which is fear of being judged, fear of being told that you're wrong, because you learned that when things happened to you when you were little, you were punished, or you were shamed, or you weren't giving any attention. So you learn also to become your own judge, by the way. We are our worst judges sometimes. You judge yourself harder than anybody else. But on the other extreme, there are people who were never given any parameters, never told, oh, do whatever you want, just it's okay, everything's okay, it's up to you. No, parents need to give you some parameters, need to give you some rules of engagement, because you don't know. You think you know, but you don't. So when parents give you some rules, and you have a way of deciding and making decisions based on some rules that have meaning, that come from many, many years of thoughtful thinking. So either way, what happens is that you have a reluctance to decide, have a reluctance to make decisions, and then you wait for things to decide for you. You wait and wait and wait. Eventually things build, a decision is made for you, and then you go, oh, well, I couldn't help it. This is what happened. You could help it. It's just that you put it off and you let conditions decide for you. That hit me hard. That was your childhood. Well, but the beauty of this is that no matter what happened, you can begin to judge yourself in a compassionate way. You can begin to say, okay, I was judged very hard when I was a kid. Now, what do? Now I experiment, I make decisions, I don't put them off. And then if it's not right, I learn from it. I don't beat myself up. You can say, oh, I just learned something here. It's not like, here I am, the fool again. None of that. You learn by allowing approximations and approximations. Just like when you're riding a bike. You don't know how to ride a bike. You're off balance, so finally back and forth, trial and error. You get your balance and you never forget it. That's what this is all about. So if you were treated harshly, treat yourself with compassion now and grow. You'll see it works. But you have to try it. You have to be willing to accept that if someone doesn't agree with you, it doesn't mean it's the end of the world. It's just an opinion. If it's good, you take it. If it's not, let it go. But another thing that you want to think about is that when we are punished early in life, when we are told, bad little boy, you, or bad little girl, you spilled the milk, or you drop whatever, children don't have the ability to differentiate between self and the behavior that they did wrong. So what they do is they tend to devalue all of them. If you said, bad little girl, you dropped whatever, it's not like the behavior that you did was wrong. All of you is wrong. So it brings self-esteem down. Later, when you're an adult and you develop some self-esteem and you grow, you realize that if you made a mistake, it's not all of you being a mistake, but a part of you making a mistake, and then you fix it. But remember, as a child, you don't have those defense mechanisms. So when someone beats you up emotionally, you think you're a terrible person. And then without knowing it, you take that with you as an adult. And when someone says, I don't like what you did here, well, what do you mean? You start getting really defensive. No, wait a minute. What is it that you don't like about it? When anybody criticizes you, when anybody says anything wrong, don't defend yourself. Make them own up what they're doing. Somebody says, you really screwed up here. Where? Tell me about it. Tell me how I screwed up and tell me how you think I should have done it. You make people own up what they're doing. And that way you learn, but you also make them aware that if they're saying something to you that's inappropriate, they're going to have to own it. If somebody says, you're an idiot, no, I'm not. Oh, really? Tell me, how am I an idiot? What is it that I'm doing that in your mind makes you see me as an idiot? That's how you deal with people. And you make them own up whatever they're dumping on you. When they dump, don't defend it. Just go back and dump it back on them and make them be responsible for whatever they're saying to you. So the newcomers here now, the topic for today is procrastination and the real cause of procrastination and how to deal with it. I would like this video, as you know now, it's more than 60 seconds, obviously, and so it will not be able to, I won't be able to post it on TikTok. But TikTok allows for this to be downloaded into another social media, and I do, to make it available to you in its entirety. I put it up on my channel, YouTube, and the channel is Dr. Mario Martinez. You go there, several hundred videos on all kinds of information on relationships, self-esteem. This will go up tomorrow. It'll be about, of course, the cause of procrastination. So if you have any serious questions about procrastination, go ahead and ask them, and I will try to answer them for you. And if I'm not able to answer it, I will tell you that I don't have an answer. But usually I do, because my work is about finding solutions for psychological processes, and I think I do a real good job at it. Kev923, thank you, Dr. Martinez. You're welcome. Welcome here. And if any of you have any questions, let me know. And of course, I'm wearing my usual Hollisters, my trademark here, and I don't get paid for this. I'm doing this on my own. I like Hollister shirts and products, so I wear a lot of Hollister, especially when I'm here, to create a ritual. And Hollisters, a lot of people say, well, these are for people who are under 20. I say, yes, you're right. These are for people who are under 20 or people who believe that they're 20. So it doesn't matter. It's no age. It's how you like to look at yourself. Okay, so continuing with procrastination. So what do you do about it? Let's say that you are a procrastinator. How did you learn it? By watching other people when you were little about procrastination, but also by being judged too much or not at all. Extremes. So then what you learned is that to make decisions is a potential to be criticized, a potential to be put down, a potential to be degraded. So then what happens is that you put it off over and over and over again. And usually what happens is that you wait till the last minute and you rush things and it doesn't work really well, or the decision is made for you. You want to apply for a job, but you don't feel comfortable with a job, you don't feel worthy of the job, and you put off the application, Then when you're going to apply, you say, nope, deadline is over, that's it. You go, okay, well, I couldn't help it. You could help it. What happened is you procrastinated for fear of being judged, for fear also for owning your own greatness. So another thing that happens when you are afraid of making mistakes, you don't own your greatness. And you begin to think, well, it doesn't matter. I probably wouldn't have gotten the job anyway. And it has a negative connotation. It's like a dark cloud is working and going around you, like everything is raining on top of you. Nobody else is getting rain except you. So those are the things that happen when you learn to procrastinate. Okay, any questions? I am talking about procrastination and the real cause for procrastination and how it's related to perfectionism. The perfectionism comes again from you have to be perfect. Why? Because you're afraid of making mistakes and then getting criticized for it. So it also has to do with self-esteem. So I would suggest that if you haven't gone to my video on self-esteem here on YouTube, go there. I have a 60-second one. It's been really popular. It's pretty close to 26,000 views already because it hits home. I think that self-esteem is something that's extremely important. It has to do with how you value yourself. And in that short video, I talk about the 3 pillars of self-esteem, and I explain how to bring it up and also what brings it down. So it's really very instructive in very small amount of time. I don't know how the hell I did it in 60 seconds, but it was pretty good. How do I become less OCD? I have to have a perfect clean house or I stress a lot. Where did you learn that? Where did you learn that you have to have a perfect house? You learned it. Everything is learned. You're not born with it. And where did you learn that if you don't have a clean house, there's some criticism? There's something wrong with you. You're dirty or you're not a good person or whatever. Go back. And then what you do is you gradually desensitize yourself from perfectionism. Allow yourself to be judged. So if the house has to be 100% clean, make it 90% clean and let it go. And then, of course, you're going to judge yourself. You're going to say, oh, but I left this, I left. Yes, I did. Take a deep breath and allow yourself to be non-perfect. Non-perfect is good. And there's no perfection, by the way. Nobody's perfect. If you were, which it doesn't exist, you'd be extremely boring because you wouldn't be learning anything. You'd know everything. So gradually you desensitize. But read my books because I have a lot of information there. The Mind-Body Code, The Mind-Body Self. They're both bestsellers on Amazon. But also you can go to my YouTube channel, Dr. Mario Martinez, and be sure you follow before you do anything. And that have hundreds of videos there that will help you deal with these things. So take the label of OCD away and begin to see yourself as learning to be kinder to yourself. Learning to not beat yourself up on every moment because perfectionism doesn't work and is extremely, extremely time consuming and just it takes away your joy because nothing else you can do. Thanks a lot. I will get your book. Good. This is TikTok Police. Welcome. And I'm glad that you're here, that all of you are here. I do a lot of, if you're a policeman or a policewoman, I do a lot of work with police departments, teaching them about how to handle stress and manage their lives and how to deal with their perfectionism. And of course, there's a hyper alarm when you're a policeman or a policewoman because you're constantly in danger. So this is it's really important that there are a lot of good people in law enforcement. There's some bad apples like anywhere, but most of the people that go into law enforcement are people who really want to be a civil servant and protect. Not all are good, but most of them are. So remember that. Okay, those of you who just joined me, this is House Shrink, TikTok. Make sure you follow my House Shrink channel on TikTok. And then go to my channel on YouTube. And there is Dr. Mario Martinez. I have pretty close to 600,000 views already on that channel. So it's very popular. And there's a lot of information and it's all free. So it's all available to you. Yes, I'm part of the LAPD and stress a lot when I have to see gruesome things. You do, yes. It's like medicine. You see a lot of gruesome things. One of the things you can do for any police officer or anybody who has a stressful job, when you get home, you take a shower, a hot shower because that relaxes your muscles. Then sit quietly and allow the day to pass by. Don't engage the day. Allow it to pass by. You saw a guy who wanted to be aggressive with you. You saw an accident. Whatever it is, let it pass through you without attachment. When it passes through you, what you're doing is you're not letting it spin in your head. And then you do 3 things. You drop your shoulders, unclench your teeth, close your eyes and let your eyelids fall softly over your eyes and begin to breathe softly. When a negative thought comes in, don't fight it. Let it come in and see it as a cloud. Oh, there's a cloud passing. Another one, there's a cloud passing. You do that every day and you're going to find a tremendous difference in the way you deal with the daily kinds of things that you deal with. So try that, and you can always go back to the video, which will be up tomorrow, and listen to it again so you can get the technique if you missed it. So I'm glad you're here, and try that, and you'll see. It'll help you. It'll reduce blood pressure and cortisol and all the things that happen. Because if not, you bring the hyper alarm home, and you don't want to do that. You're law enforcement there, and at home you're a father, mother, whatever it is that you are, and you allow the day to pass by so you don't bring it home. So that's great. You're going to do it. Wonderful. Chapter 4 really hit home to me when you were talking about DN. What is DN? Did I forget what I wrote, or what is DN? Tell me and I'll try to answer it for you. Oh yeah, okay, there you got me. There was a comedian here. Well, sorry, but now you're going to be muted. That's what happens. Yeah, you got me. That's okay. But what did you gain? You gain stupidity, and that's okay. So what do you learn from it? You're not going to be punished by that. You learn that you took something that I was doing here serious with someone who does serious work, a police officer, and you used your small mind. Get out of that and grow. Okay, so now you're muted, but you can still stay here. So I'm not even going to say the name because I don't want to reinforce that. So rather than beating you up emotionally, I invite you to join us in a serious conversation. So it's okay. You didn't fool me, you fooled yourself. All right, so again, people that are just joining, that's fine. People that are just joining, I'm talking about procrastination and the real cause of procrastination, which is the fear of being judged, and how it's related to perfectionism. Perfectionism is the same thing. You're afraid of being judged. And why? Because you learned that early in life you were judged harshly, or you were not judged at all. When you get extremes in your learning, it causes a bit of a problem. It causes some kind of a disorder or some kind of dysfunction, because you weren't giving the right parameters. The right parameters would be when you do something wrong, you're told what you did wrong in a way that doesn't shame you. And when you want to know something and you don't have the parameters, then you let the child know that these are the parameters. These are the parameters of this is what you do in some conditions, this is what you do in other conditions. So anyway, you know, the funny thing about this, let me tell you, the people that like to get attention, that are immature, they don't stop. They keep going. They have to be muted. It's so funny. It's really funny. But it takes away from the time. So anyways, once in a while, I'll just mention it. The whole idea is that some people are wasting the opportunity to learn something valuable here. And what they're doing is they're playing games and they're being immature and what I call small mind. And if you want to do that, then that's fine. But we'll mute you and you'll become insignificant. If you want to come back and be serious, then that's okay. If not, have a nice day. All right. So most people are listening, and what I want to do is to talk about procrastination, and with procrastination having to do with the real cause being afraid of being judged. Afraid of being judged, because you learned that to be judged was to beat you up, or to be judged was something negative. So anyway, that's what happens. Now I'm getting close to ending here. Excuse me. And I want to thank everybody for joining me, and make sure that you join me here on House Shrink, and you follow House Shrink. But then if you want to see this video, it'll be available tomorrow, and you'll be able to see the total video on my channel, YouTube, and it's Dr. Mario Martinez. The books are available. They're 2 bestsellers on Amazon, and it's the Mind Body Code and the Mind Body Self. So both of those books extend quite a bit of the information that I'm talking about here, but there's quite a bit here. So thank you for those of you who were serious, and those of you who are not serious. you were taught to get inappropriate attention. When someone is serious, you're not being serious because you don't want to tune into the real thing. You're avoiding, and you're playing head games, and you want to be cute rather than learn. And if that's what you want to do, that's okay. You'll be muted. That's fine. But at least you'll be able to watch without interrupting other people. So for those of you who are serious about being here and who wanted to learn something about procrastination, now you know that it has to do with the fear of being judged. And how do you practice that? By gradually making decisions and allowing yourself to, rather than being critical, be compassionate and see mistakes as approximations to the goal rather than something that needs to be beat up. So that's how that works. So all of you, I'm very glad that you were here. Someone says, God bless you. Thank you so much. I'm glad you're here. And many people showed up. And I can't mention all your names because I would be just totally involved in mentioning people rather than giving you something that I'm offering here. So ending it, procrastination. The real cause is fear of being judged because you were judged too harshly or you were not judged at all. Also, procrastination and perfectionism are together. They're related, and they have to do with a fear of making mistakes, a fear of being judged. And also, you become your worst internal judge. You become your judge that's harsher than anybody else. So let that internal judge turn negativity into compassion to yourself, and it'll work. So I'm glad you're here. I'm glad that you joined me. Make sure that today or tomorrow, go to my YouTube channel, Dr. Mario Martinez, and the first thing you do is just follow. And follow here. If you're not following me now, follow on House Shrink, and you have access to a lot of information, but it'll allow me to reach more people, which is what I'm wanting to do here. All right, so enjoy. Have a wonderful day, and you can listen to the video, watch the video tomorrow, and get some more out of it. Enjoy.